Okay, so this was the Business 436 cap table quiz that you guys had. Here's the answers. He didn't really put the questions up, so I had to kind of recreate the questions. So let's go through what I was able to recreate. For the first part, it says Kathleen founded collegecompletion.com. College Ventures, a VC, plans to invest $3 million at $1 per share and will own 20%. So if he's going to invest $3 million and that's 20%, you take 3 million divided by 0.20 and you get the post-money valuation of $15 million, right? And the investment of 3 million from that means the pre-money valuation was 12 million. But there's a catch. Prior to investing, I put a comma there, College Ventures is requiring Kathleen to set aside 10% of the ownership for an options pool. What will the spreadsheet look like at the end of Series A? What is the pre-money valuation? And what is the value of Kathleen's shares? Fill in the spreadsheet for before investment in round A. So this is before investment in Series A, excuse me. I said round A, but it's really Series A. Okay, so before investment, there were no shares held. So you know that she's going to have to give up 10% of her ownership to the options pool. So all you can put is before investment, she had 90% and the options pool had 10% of the shares. That's all you can do is their percent ownership like you got here and you got there. Okay, that's all you need to know for right now. Now you know that College Ventures is putting in $3 million at $1 per share, price per share, okay? And that's going to own 20%. You know that the value then will be 15 million. With 15 million shares, it's $1 a share. Now you can take their percentage of ownership because there's 12 million shares left, right? And that has to be divided 90% of those 12 million for Kathleen, 10% of those 12 million for the option pool. Because there's 15 million shares outstanding, and College Ventures has 20% of that 3 million. That means 12 million are left. You divide that 90-10, and that gets you their percentage of ownership, which you can just divide either each one of their value by the total value or each one of their shares by the total shares. That gets you the percent of ownership. So she owns 72% of the company at the end of Series A. Option pool has 8%. College Ventures has 20% because she had to dilute herself. She had to do the options pool before College Ventures invested. If they had done it afterwards, then he would be diluted also, College Ventures. Okay, so that's what the spreadsheet looks like. Now we'll go to Series B. Graduations investments will invest $3 million at $3 a share now in the Series B. College Ventures has an agreement, and that was the VC last round, has an agreement with College Completion, that's Kathleen's company, that College Ventures can buy additional shares at the same terms in Series B as the Series B investors in order to maintain their 20% ownership position at Series B. What is the pre-money valuation for the company for round B? Fill in the spreadsheet at the end of round B. And then it says fill in the tables below for pre-money, investment money, post-money, and price per share for Series A and B. What are the amounts invested in Series B? Okay, so we know that the new VC is going to put in $3 million, right? And they're going to have 1 million shares. So plug that in. They're going to have 1 million shares at $3. Then what's the pre-money valuation? Well, right now you can say the pre-money is because he's buying in at $3 a share. All these shares are worth $3, right? So before he put his money in, there were 15 million shares outstanding at $3. So now the pre-money valuation is $45 million, right? You can't figure it this way yet because you still got to figure how many more shares College Ventures is going to buy. Okay, so and how much is going to be invested totally. So you know $3 million got invested from graduation investments. Now College Ventures wants to maintain their 20% ownership. So right now I'll leave their number of shares blank and their total value. You just know they're going to be at 20%, right? Now, this is one of those things, if they're going to be at 20%, these other guys are going to be 80%, right? So you take the 10,800,000 shares, the 1,200,000 shares, and the 1 million shares, and that gets you 13 million. Divide that by 0.2, and you get 16,250,000 shares. Remember, this is blank at the time. You got to figure this. Take the 16,250,000 and subtract the million and the 12 million. That's so I'm subtracting 13 million, and you get 3,250,000 shares, and that's valued at $3 a share. Okay, so they actually bought another, because they had 3 million shares back here. They actually are buying another 250,000 shares at $3 a share. So the amount invested in Series B would be the $3 million at a million, $3 a share, so a million shares. And College Ventures, in order to maintain their 20%, is buying 250,000 shares at $3 a share, so $750,000. Okay, so that's how you fill this in. Remember, you would leave these blank because you don't know exactly how many more shares he's going to have than the 3 million from before. But you know that this, and this together are 80%. So you'd add those up. That's 13 million divided by 0.8. I'm sorry. I said by 0.2 before. It's 0.8. Divided by 0.8, that gets you 16,250,000 shares. You subtract these 13 million shares from that, and they get you 3,250,000. And that tells you what the 20% ownership would be. And then you just go through and figure out, divide either the number of shares by the total number of shares or the value divided by the total value. But anyway, so that gets you their percentage of ownerships. Remember, this now is just times 3 to get $48,750,000. Okay? And then if the company was acquired for $50 million, what would Kathleen's share be? Well, if the company got acquired for $50 million, she owns 66.5%, right? So you just take that 50 million times 66.5%, and that comes up to 33,230,769. Okay, and then this other part over here is, I'm just having to guess at what the question was. It says VC method. If a VC invested $7 million in round A, and he's requiring a 20 times return on his money at the exit in 10, I just made up the years, 10 years, which means he'd get $140 million, right? Exit needed right here. I'm reading down here. If 140 million when the company sold, if the company had earnings in the 10th year, the terminal year, I'm just using the 10th year because I got no idea. The terminal year of $40 million earnings before interest and taxes. And I think and taxes and amortization. I think amortization. Okay, so if the company had $40 million in earnings, and similar companies have a PE ratio of 10, what percent of the company does he own, and what is the post-money valuation of the company in round A? Okay, so if he invested $7 million and expected 20%, 20 times return, that means he would need 140 million to exit. Okay. Now, to find out what the company would be worth, earnings times the PE ratio. This is a multiple, the same as a PE, right? Price earnings multiple. So 40 million times 10 gives you 400 million. If he needed to exit with 140 million, 20 times his investment, and the company was valued at 400 million, that means you take what he needed to exit at, his portion of it, divided by the 400 million, and that gets you 35% ownership is what he would need. Okay, and then the post-money valuation is $20,000, and that would be based on, gosh, I don't want to hold you up on this video, so I'll go back through and just make a little. $20 million is 35%. I'll have to make a little short video on the rest of that instead of doing this video again. Okay, so I'll do a little 1 minute segment of that last part.